let's get right into the Arizona Diamondbacks series win. Okay, to break it down real quick, Diamondbacks won game one of the series on Friday against the Los Angeles Dodgers. It came, the Diamondbacks were down 1-0, headed into the ninth inning of this one, I believe it was 2-1. 2-1 in the ninth inning of this one, and then it was Ryan Waldschmidt, who was the hero with the walk-off two-run home run. Didn't even know it was a home run until he was halfway to second base. A phenomenal story for the young rookie who was one of the most sought-after prospects at the deadline from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So good job of him proving to Mike Hazen and the rest of the team, hey, you guys didn't trade me, and I am here to continue to play good baseball. And that's exactly what he's been doing since he got recalled from AAA in the middle of July. We'll get to more of that later. Saturday, it was a great but low scoring game. It was 0-0 after the seventh inning. Brandon Pfaadt pitched a gem, 7 innings scoreless against the Los Angeles Dodgers lineup. Are you kidding me? Brandon Pfaadt has been one of the best pitchers in baseball, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. But ultimately, the Diamondbacks lose. They lose in extra innings 2-1. They gave up a home run. Jonathan Loaisiga gave up a home run in the 8th inning, and then in the bottom of the 9th inning, Perdomo tripled. Carroll tripled, which scored Perdomo. But then with no outs and Corbin Carroll on third base, the Diamondbacks could not get Corbin home. They could not get him 90 more feet. And it was Gabriel Moreno. It was Ketel Marte. That those two guys weren't able to get Corbin home. And the Diamondbacks went on to lose in the 10th inning because of an infield single from Shohei Ohtani. A heartbreaker for sure. And honestly, looking at how this series played out, you feel like this Diamondbacks team should have swept. They should have swept. They should have swept the Dodgers for not once, but the second time this season. Incredible. Just incredible. And then on Sunday, we had Eduardo Rodriguez go 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 115 pitches, 9 strikeouts, and what felt like the perfect exclamation point for the Diamondbacks during this series was he went out into the 7th inning after already having thrown 97 pitches, and he went out and pitched another, and he went the full 7th inning, 18 pitches, got Shohei Ohtani out on that very last out of the 7th inning. It was incredible. He put it all on the line, and Torey Lovullo had the stones to send him back out there with Brandon Garcia down. So the only lefty that was active for the Arizona Diamondbacks that day was Eduardo Rodriguez, and he said, you know what? Even though he's at 110 pitches, we're going to let him face Shohei Ohtani because he's our best bet, even at 110 pitches. And Rodriguez pulled through and got it done. Of course, we also had Ketel Marte hit a 2-run home run in this game from the right side of the plate, which was great. And then the Diamondbacks were able to tack on 2 more runs in that 2nd inning to win this ball game 4-2. There's so much to talk about, and just an hour ago, we learned that Paul Seawald was DFA'd. Yesterday, it was announced that Michael Soroka was back to being a Diamondback starting pitcher. They play the Rockies in just a few hours right now, and I'm recording this. If you're listening to this later, I'm recording this at about 1:50 p.m. Arizona time. So hopefully some of you guys can watch this before they play their first game against the Rockies tonight, but I'm hoping that what we talk about today will still hold up until Wednesday or Thursday, which is the next time I will be breaking down more Arizona sports for you guys. So let's get into the nitty-gritty details of this series and what a series it was. Let's start with the first thing that stuck out to me, and I think the guy who had the best performance in this entire series, which coincidentally came in a loss for this Arizona Diamondbacks team, and it's Brandon Pfaadt right now. Brandon Pfaadt is one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's third in ERA at 1.32 and sixth in WAR, sixth in pitching WAR since his return from the minor leagues back on June 30th. It cannot be understated how much Brandon Pfaadt has meant to this Diamondbacks team over the last month and a half. He's 6-1 as a starter in those starts and has had a no decision in 2 others. He has been what we thought Corbin Burnes was going to do for this team when he came back in July. It actually turned out to be Brandon Pfaadt, and credit Dave Burns for kind of putting that together where, we were expecting reinforcements in July. We did not expect we were going to get a Cy Young level Brandon Pfaadt. And right now, after getting that extension in 2024, we're finally seeing that pay off. Mike Hazen is not quick, but Mike Hazen likes to extend guys early because he thinks that in a couple years they will exceed value. For Hazen, that Brandon Pfaadt contract was not looking good last year, and it was not looking good at the end of May when they decided to send him down after being in the bullpen. Credit to Brandon Pfaadt, he kept his head down, he kept working, and he figured it out. And what's great about this for Brandon Pfaadt is that he's inducing way more ground balls than he ever has in his career. His hard hit, and it's not just, this isn't just luck either. His hard hit percentage is as low as it's been throughout his entire career. His accuracy with all of his pitches, he's added a cutter in the last 2 seasons, and right now he's using a changeup and a curveball a whole lot, and that's helping as well. Plus, we know that he does have, or at least has had, a really good sweeper, and we've seen that even come back recently as well. So Brandon Pfaadt, if you're looking at guys who have helped stabilize this Arizona Diamondbacks team over the last month and a half, I think you start with Brandon Pfaadt, because if the Diamondbacks had to go to another pitcher, whether it's Jose Cabrera or picking up a guy that was designated for assignment recently, if they had to cobble together more innings that Brandon Pfaadt wasn't able to fill, this team would not be in a wild card race like it is right now. And this team wouldn't have fans thinking that if they made the playoffs, that the Diamondbacks could go on a run. Like, because of Brandon Pfaadt, we now believe that if you have Pfaadt, if you have Eduardo Rodriguez, if you have Michael Soroka, who can hopefully get back to being the 3.07 ERA pitcher that he was during the first half of the season, maybe you can get Corbin Burnes back and healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. Maybe not. We'll see how that ends up. Plus, you have Ryan Nelson, who could come back and bolster the bullpen. You have Zach Gallen, who could come back. Merrill Kelly's turned it around recently. Because of this starting pitching staff, the ceiling is the roof, as the great Michael Jordan would say. The ceiling is the roof for this Arizona Diamondbacks team because of what Brandon Pfaadt and Eduardo Rodriguez are doing. The next guy on this list that we have to talk about is Eduardo Rodriguez, and I already kind of broke that down earlier, but again, 115 pitches in a game. Most he's done since 2019. Most Torey's let a guy go since 2023 when he let Zach Gallen go. I think 110-ish pitches. Maybe it was 115. Not sure on that exact stat. But it's been a long time since Torey made that big of a gamble with a pitcher going over 100 pitches. I mean, Torey will consistently pull guys out below 100 pitchers. And the other thing, too, is it was only 7 up and downs, too. The more up and downs you get into a ball game, the more Torey likes to kind of take guys out even if their pitch count is not as high as you would think, it's also the up and downs and the waiting in between innings that adds into that fact as well. So seeing Torey throw a guy out there for the 7th inning, not super unsurprising. We've seen him do it a bunch of times this season, especially when guys have it rolling. But what was incredible in this situation is that Erod left guys on base in the top of the 6th inning. Like it wasn't like he had dominated recently. He left guys on base. There was a run that scored in that top of the 6th inning to make it a 4-2 ball game. And Torey still said, okay, it's the bottom of the order plus Shohei Ohtani. So we're gonna let Erod go out there and get through this inning. And there was one time where Torey kind of like he was out of the dugout, and then he was like, I don't know, Jim. I don't know. And then he went back into the dugout and let Eduardo Rodriguez finish it out. And to show that much trust and that much confidence in a guy, even though he's already about to set a career high, or in this case, tie a career high in pitches, unbelievable stones from Torey Lovullo. Unbelievable job by Eduardo Rodriguez. Unbelievable job by the Diamondbacks defense to help their pitcher out and get it done, especially when they weren't able to get it done in that top of the 6th inning, just one inning prior. It was so good to see Eduardo get kind of his moment and to prove yet again that he is the man. And this guy owns the Dodgers. If you're on Twitter at all, or now X, you've seen Eduardo Rodriguez has absolutely dominated the Los Angeles Dodgers this season. And honestly, like he's pitched well against them before since he's come to Arizona as well. So this is not a first time thing that we've seen Eduardo Rodriguez play to this level against the Dodgers. Speaking of beating the Dodgers, are the Arizona Diamondbacks Dodgers killers? Because since that 2023 postseason, the Diamondbacks do have a winning record against the Dodgers. This year, after getting swept in the opening series of the season, the Diamondbacks won the last 7 out of their last 10 against the Dodgers to win the final series 7-6, the season series 7-6. And it's not just that. The Dodgers won the first, I believe, 5 games of the season series, which means the Diamondbacks won 6 out of the last, or sorry, they won 7 out of the last 8 games that they played against the Dodgers. Just a ridiculous stat. But it also goes to show that this team, when it's functioning, has the ability to beat this Dodgers team because they play great defense, because they have great starting pitching. Kevin Ginkel came in and got it done. Brandon Garcia came in and got huge outs, especially in that first game. The double play that he got Shohei Ohtani to hit into was great. The Diamondbacks bullpen has held on just good enough this season to get them to this point. We'll see if that continues or not. And there should be, as we're seeing today, there should be reinforcements coming. So can't wait to see what happens there. But yeah, the Diamondbacks have just been Dodgers killers since that opening series against them this season. And even though they're Dodgers killers, they're still 7 or 8 games back of the division. So that's unlikely to happen. For any people in the comments who think I'm saying that the Diamondbacks are a better team than the Dodgers, I definitely don't believe that. But I do believe that the Diamondbacks possess the guys capable and maybe are the most, maybe know the Dodgers the best because they see them so much. Like this team gets to see the Dodgers 13, 14 times this season and have during this entire dynasty. Plus, they beat them in 20. They were the last team to beat the Dodgers in a playoff series. They were the last team to beat the Dodgers in a playoff series. So, as good as the Dodgers are, maybe their kryptonite is a team that knows them very well and that has pitched against them numerous times. I mean, Merrill Kelly's pitched against the Dodgers many times. He struggled at the beginning, but in this series, he went 5 2/3 innings and allowed 1 earned run. Eduardo Rodriguez has pitched well against the Dodgers. We saw Brandon Pfaadt shove last year against the Dodgers, and he was having a down season. Maybe this team has just played the Dodgers so many times that it knows the formula to beating the Dodgers. Now, can they always execute that formula? And do I think that there's a little bit of that NBA mentality right now with this Dodgers team where, they're kind of just coasting through the regular season and then they'll turn it on when the playoffs start? Yeah, I think there's a strong case that that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing is. And they know like, hey, we're good in the division, so like we don't need to like go all out 100 miles an hour pushing up to the highest gear. Like they might just be in gear 3 or 4 right now. And the Diamondbacks, because they're in this wild card race and it's essentially going to be playoff baseball. I mean, the Diamondbacks have to play playoff baseball for the next month and a half, a little more than a month and a half before they even make the playoffs because this wild card race is going to be so tight. So the Diamondbacks beat LA. They're the Dodgers killers because they have the guys on the roster that can get it done, that have seen this team over and over and over again. If they meet in the playoffs, am I picking the Diamondbacks? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Unless, Shohei Ohtani is on the IL, on the shelf. And even then, I don't know if I'm picking the Diamondbacks just because of how loaded that the rest of that Dodgers lineup and their pitching staff is. Diamondbacks obviously got lucky and didn't have to face Tariq Skubal, although we did face Yamamoto and we did face Robleski, who was an all-star this year. Doesn't look like an all-star pitcher right now, but he was an all-star this year. Like the Diamondbacks still faced some strong pitching, and their pitching was just as good, and most of the time better against the Dodgers in this series and in the last series, which the Diamondbacks swept right before the All-Star break. So let's turn it over to the offense, and I think we have to start with Ryan Waldschmidt. And like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, Ryan Waldschmidt has proved Mike Hazen right this week. Right. Excuse me. Let me restart. Ryan Waldschmidt proved Mike Hazen right this weekend when he hit the game-winning walk-off home run against the Dodgers on Friday. Since his return to the major league roster, which happened on July 10th, Waldschmidt is hitting .328 with a .492 slugging percentage, which for my math nerds out there is an .820 OPS. Really, really good. And Waldschmidt is doing it in a unique way as well. He only has a walk rate, a 2.9 walk rate, and has a 27.9 strikeout rate. And he is hitting an insane .429 on balls batted into play. So that's way, way, way above average on balls batted into play for Waldschmidt. But I think, and do I expect this number to hold throughout the rest of the season and in his career? I don't. He needs to stop striking out as much. He needs to put more balls in play. He has one of the highest strikeout rates on the team. He needs to walk. He needs to get a lot more walks. Like we need that strikeout percentage to get down to 20, and we need that walk percentage to get up to 7 to 10, ideally. Like we need those areas to improve for him to truly become like a really good major league player. And the .429 batted balls in play, I think is just he really knows how to hit the ball and where to put the ball. And when he gets a barrel on a ball, he's sending it in the right direction. Like he's not just a always pull side hitter. Now he is a pull side hitter for sure, but like he's a guy that understands how to put the ball in play and get on base doing that. So it's really impressive what he's done. Has definitely been the catalyst to the Diamondbacks offense at the bottom of the order. as well as Tim Tawa, who had an incredible series against the Padres, as well as James McCann, who uh, had one of the longest RBI streaks in Diamondbacks history, actually tied it before that came to an end against the Padres. Gabriel Moreno's been awesome. Corbin, Carroll, and Ketel Marte have been sputtering recently, but hopefully the triple on Saturday for Corbin and the home run on Sunday for Ketel can get those two guys going. That would be really nice to see. But the guy that I think could have maybe the best stretch to end the season is going to be Geraldo Perdomo. Just in August, he's hitting 389 in 9 games. He's also hit a few home runs going back to the end of July. But in July, he hit 175. Wasn't great. He is, top 10 in walks in Major League Baseball this year, which is just something that Perdomo does. He's really good at getting on base, even when it's, having to manufacture a single or a walk. He's really, really good at that. But I think Perdomo is going to have one of the best months of his career in August, and that might continue into September. I think Perdomo is peaking at the right time, and when we look in a few weeks from now, we're going to say, man, we've seen Marte carry us in stretches this year. We've seen Corbin Carroll carry us in stretches. Most recently, we've seen Gabriel Moreno carry the Diamondbacks. And now I think it's going to be Perdomo's turn. I think Perdomo for the next 6 weeks is going to be the Diamondbacks' best offensive player, as well as, honestly, their best defensive player. What he's doing at shortstop this year, he's one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball. And if he's able to start mashing the ball like I think Perdomo's about to start mashing the ball, I think this Diamondbacks team is not only going to make the playoffs, I think they're going to finish second in that wild card race. I think they finished second. I think that they, right now, assuming that some of the guys come back healthy, like Jordan Lawler and Justin Martinez can come back healthy, I think this team has the pieces to be the second wild card team. And then with that, they'll play the Cubs most likely in a playoff series. We'll get to see the Cubs at the end of the month. So that'll be a good preview of what could happen, as well as the Phillies. And we'll see the Padres again as well. So a lot of teams in the wild card spot with us. We're going to get to see the Diamondbacks play against a lot of these wild card teams to end the season. And I truly believe that this Diamondbacks team, if Lawler can come back healthy, if Martinez can come back healthy, if they can get Corbin Burns and Ryan Nelson back at least somewhat available for this team before the end of the season, I think this team has a really, really great shot at making a special postseason run. Does that postseason run get sniffed out by the Dodgers or the Braves or the Brewers? It definitely could. It could be short. It could just be 2 games and all of a sudden we're at home after losing in the wild card and we go, man, what a season, but what a rough way to end. Or we could up in the conference championship again. We could be playing for a pennant. I truly believe that this team has that kind of ceiling. And I hope that they prove me right. And with that said, let's break down the Diamondbacks chase to the wild card right now. Right now, they're 63. They have a record. Right now, the Diamondbacks have a 63-56 record and are tied for the Phillies in the second spot in the wild card. The Padres are just outside the wild card, 1 game back of the D-backs and Phillies. Losing that last game in that Padres series really hurt. But those 3 teams that are all within a game of each other are 5 to 6 games back of the Cubs, but have a 3.5 game lead over the Marlins and teams like the Cardinals and the Nationals and the Pirates. All have been trending down since the trade deadline or slightly before the trade deadline, part of and thanks to the Diamondbacks beating them. But a lot of these teams have been trending down except for the Padres, Phillies, and Diamondbacks. So right now it's a 3-horse race for 2 spots. And both the Phillies and the Padres went out and got some guys at the trade deadline. Now, whether those guys pan out, we'll see. Robbie Ray did not pitch well in his first appearance. I'm sorry, I can't remember who the other pitcher was against the Diamondbacks that they traded for. He did not pitch well. He did not pitch well against the Diamondbacks in his first performance, where the Diamondbacks had him out of the game before the end of the 4th inning. So, and then the Padres went out and added Luis Ariz. The Phillies defense isn't great. We'll see what happens there. Their offense is really good, and they have, at times, they have really, really great pitching. So, the Diamondbacks did not add anyone of note outside of Lars Nootbaar at the trade deadline, and that was definitely the least sexy move of the trade deadline, probably. Although it might just be good for the Diamondbacks because they just got a left-hander that can actually play in the postseason instead of Max Kepler and a guy who can get on base a little bit better than Kepler can. But they have Jordan Lawler coming back. They have Corbin Burns coming back. I mean, I'm just going to keep saying it. They have Justin Martinez coming back. They don't have AJ Puk coming back. They just signed Zach Littell, who probably slots in as a long arm guy out of the bullpen, where maybe the Diamondbacks have another high leverage guy in that. We've seen Gerardo Carrillo be like a high leverage guy, and they picked him off the street. He wasn't even wearing a Diamondbacks uniform 2 weeks ago. And this guy has at least 1 save, maybe 2 saves for the Diamondbacks. And they bring him in against in some high leverage situations, like in the 8th inning and in the 9th inning and in extra innings. Like, this is a guy that they're relying on, and they didn't even have him on the roster 2 weeks ago. So Hazen, to his credit, has kind of like gotten guys to come in and play great baseball. And if the reinforcements can come back anytime soon, it's only going to help this team. All right. We're almost done with the baseball talk. I know it's been a half hour of Diamondbacks baseball talk, and we're almost done, I promise. We just have 3 more things to get to. First, let's start with what just happened about an hour ago. And it's that the Arizona Diamondbacks designated Paul Seawald for assignment. And Paul Seawald has had one of the weirder careers in an Arizona sports uniform that I can remember. At his best, he was one of the best closers in baseball. In 2023, he was a huge reason why the Diamondbacks made the World Series. He was also a big reason why they lost the World Series. In 2024, Paul Seawald was one of the best closers in baseball for the first half of the season. And then in the month of July, the bottom fell out on him. And he didn't pitch much more for the rest of the season. He leaves Arizona in 2025, goes to, I think it was Cleveland, but it might have been Detroit. But he leaves, barely plays due to injury, and then comes back on a minor league deal. And all of a sudden, after spring training, we looked up, and oh my gosh, Paul Seawald was the Arizona Diamondbacks closer in the year 2026. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe that we went back to the Paul Seawald well. And guess what? Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo looked like geniuses for the first 3 months this season. The guy was 24 of 27 in his save opportunities. Not a few years ago. This year, he was 24 of 27 in his save opportunities. I mean, that's 8 out of every 9 save opportunities. That's well over 80%. Well over 80%. Paul Seawald was getting saves. And then all of a sudden in July again, and in early August, the bottom just fell out, and it felt like he couldn't get any guys out. He couldn't get a guy out. Like the Diamondbacks DFA'd him, and he had over a 6 ERA. Over a 6, and this guy was 24 of 27 in save opportunities. And it wasn't, and he did trend down a little bit, but for the most part, Paul went from, man, really good. And then, there were a few cracks in the dam in June, but you were like, oh, Torey just should never play him in a non-save situation. But then the home runs started to pile up. He would give up runs, but still get the save. And it felt like in a week and a half, Paul Seawald went from being the closer to being out of the rotation. I mean, it's just crazy. And this is exactly what happened in 2024. Torey stuck with Paul a whole lot longer that season than he did this year, thank goodness. But the bottom just fell out from underneath him. And there was, maybe there were warning signs, maybe there weren't. His velo hasn't gone down significantly. Maybe there's a little bit, maybe his pitches aren't carrying as much as they were at the beginning of the season, but overall there's no like real telltale sign as to why all of a sudden teams went from not being able to hit Paul Seawald to all of a sudden teams are treating Paul Seawald like like it's batting practice. I mean, Paul Seawald went from closer to batting practice 2 times in his Arizona Diamondbacks career. Twice. And it felt like it happened overnight. Overnight. I don't know how to explain it. Baseball is one of these weird things that you can't explain. All of a sudden, a guy goes from being unhittable to being batting practice. And Paul Seawald did that twice. And I don't know what's going to happen. I like Paul Seawald. I like Paul Seawald a lot. Like, I think he's a great guy. I think he's been great for the organization. I think he's represented the Diamondbacks extremely well. The milkman, or sorry, that's Gallon. Like jump around, like when Paul Seawald came out to that, like that was like, there's so much to appreciate about Paul Seawald, but at the same time, when the wheels fall off for this guy, I mean, they fall off, and it's hard to repair. And so, yeah, I saw a headline on X that it was inevitable. Like, it was inevitable that he was going to get DFA'd just because he just couldn't get anyone out anymore. He just couldn't get anyone out. It was unfortunate to see. We'll see what happens. If he clears waivers, maybe they re-sign him to a minor league deal and he works things out in AAA, and maybe I don't even want to say the words out loud, but Pavin Smith is back playing for AAA Reno. Maybe there's a chance we see Pavin Smith again on the Diamondbacks this year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there is a chance. And if Paul Seawald clears waivers and the Diamondbacks do re-sign him and they try and help him fix whatever's going wrong, and they feel like they fixed it just like they did with Brandon Pfaadt, I don't know. Maybe Paul Seawald has come to the end of the road of his career. Maybe he still has another stint left with the Diamondbacks. It's going to be crazy to see. It's going to be, I don't have the words because I appreciate him, but I'm also glad that anxiety is out of my life. Let's get into the one negative that I have for this Diamondbacks team right now, and that is what Mike Hazen did during this offseason. Now, he did a few good things. Traded for Nolan Arenado, who's been a huge success. Brought in Paul Seawald, who got 24 out of 27 saves. Brought in Michael Soroka on a tryout deal, essentially, and he's been great. But the two things that he did, and the main one that causes me to get irrationally angry, is that he traded Jake McCarthy. And this is pertinent because the Diamondbacks play the Colorado Rockies for the next 3 days. And Jake McCarthy had a historic night recently where he had 4 hits, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. Right now, McCarthy is 17th among all players this season in OPS at 859, and he is first among all left fielders. Now, would he get the everyday reps in the outfield if he was still playing for the Diamondbacks this season? Maybe not. But if McCarthy was hitting this good for the Diamondbacks, I'll tell you what, he sure would have earned them. But the problem is that the Diamondbacks came into the season and they were hoping for yet again another Alek Thomas turnaround. They were hoping eventually Alek Thomas could figure it out. The signs were there that he just wasn't going to be able to do that. The Diamondbacks said, hey, we need a left-handed hitter in our lineup. And they went with Pavin Smith over Jake McCarthy. Jake McCarthy would be great to have in the DH spot or as an everyday left fielder. Heck, he played center field for the Diamondbacks. And so, yeah, maybe Ryan Waldschmidt and Tommy Troy don't have the seasons that they have. But I tell you what, would you rather have an 860 OPS Jake McCarthy on this team right now or anything else that the Diamondbacks have put in the outfield this entire season outside of Corbin Carroll? And I'll tell you what, Jake McCarthy, I would 100% have picked him. I would have picked him over Alek Thomas. I would take him over Pavin Smith. I would have taken him over Blaze Alexander, and I love Blaze Alexander's defense. He was fun to watch as well, and I'm disappointed that we traded him so quickly as well. If the Diamondbacks had Jake McCarthy, there's no telling to how special this offense could have been. And what was so disappointing is, yeah, he did have a down 2025 season. But in 2022 and 2024, he had great seasons. He had great seasons in 2022 and 2024. I mean, in 2024, he was one of the Diamondbacks' best hitters for most of the season. He was awesome in 2024. And so, just sucks. So, if the Diamondbacks do fail at the end of the season, that's going to be when we look at this season, and if it's not as successful as we want it to be as Diamondbacks fans, the place I go to first might be injuries, but everyone has injuries. The place I go to first will be, why did we trade away Jake McCarthy when we could have kept him and gotten rid of guys like Alek Thomas and Pavin Smith? It was just an absolute steal from the Colorado Rockies what they did to Mike Hazen. And it's the type of move that, in my opinion, can make it so that your job is in hot water at the end of the year, especially if the Diamondbacks, again, are on the outside looking in at the playoffs.